Did you ever imagine watching your own funeral, and realizing your family wanted you dead? They stood there in black. Not grieving. Waiting. Waiting for money. If a father sacrifices everything, does he deserve betrayal like this? Before we go further, subscribe, because some truths are too dangerous to forget. And tell me this in the comments. If your family buried you alive for profit, would you forgive them, or erase them? My name is Daniel Hayes. And I died on a rainy Thursday. At least. That's what they told the world. The car accident was perfect. Brakes failed. Cliff edge. Fire. No body left to question. Closed coffin. Closed case. Closed life. But I remember everything. The moment the car stopped. The smell of fuel. The silence before impact. And the voice on the phone just minutes before it happened. My son. Ethan. Everything is ready, Dad. I thought he meant dinner. I was wrong. When the car went over, I didn't die. I crawled out. Broken. Bleeding. Forgotten. They didn't check. They didn't care. Because for them, I was already more valuable dead. I stayed hidden. I listened. I watched. And 3 days later, I stood behind a tree. At my own funeral. My wife cried. Too perfectly. My daughter looked down. Not sad. Just uncomfortable. And Ethan? He checked his phone. Over and over. Waiting. For confirmation. For money. For freedom. That was the moment I understood. I wasn't their father anymore. I was their investment. And investments are meant to be cashed out. I didn't step forward. I didn't scream. I didn't expose them. Because real revenge doesn't start with anger. It starts with silence. And mine had just begun. I watched them bury an empty coffin. And no one questioned it. Not the priest. Not the guests. Not even the family friends who once called me brother. Because money had already rewritten the truth. Insurance agents stood nearby. Quiet. Observing. Waiting for paperwork. I followed them after the ceremony. Kept my distance. Listened more than I ever had in my life. That's when I heard it. $2 million. That was my worth. Not my years. Not my sacrifices. Not the nights I stayed awake building everything they now owned. Just $2 million. Transferred within days. My wife, Laura, signed the documents without hesitation. Her hands didn't shake. Her voice didn't crack. She had practiced this. They all had. That night, they didn't mourn. They celebrated. I stood outside my own house. Lights glowing. Music playing. Laughter echoing. Inside. My family toasted to my death. Ethan raised a glass. To new beginnings. My daughter, Claire, smiled. Finally free. Laura leaned back. Relaxed. Like a burden had lifted. That burden was me. And I understood something critical. This wasn't sudden. This wasn't emotional. This was planned. Carefully. Coldly. Precisely. The accident wasn't an accident. It was an exit strategy. And I was the cost. I could have walked in. Exposed everything. Destroyed them instantly. But that would have been easy. Temporary. Messy. No. I wanted something deeper. Something permanent. I wanted them to feel safe first. To believe they had one. Because the most powerful revenge isn't taking something away. It's letting them build everything. And then taking it all at once. So I disappeared. No hospital. No police. No record. Daniel Hayes stayed dead. But something else was born. Something patient. Something invisible. Something far more dangerous than a broken father. Because now, I had nothing left to lose. And everything they loved was still within my reach. The first thing you learn when you're dead is how invisible you become. No calls. No searches. No investigations. No one looked for me. Not even out of guilt. That hurt more than the betrayal. I found shelter in an abandoned workshop miles away. Cold nights. Quiet days. Time to think. Time to plan. And most importantly, time to remember everything they forgot. I built that family from nothing. Every account. Every connection. Every contract. Was created by me. They thought they inherited power. But they only inherited access. And access can be revoked. Slowly. Quietly. Without noise. I started small. Emails. Old contacts. Fake identities. I became someone else. Adrian Cole. A consultant. Invisible but influential. I reached out to business partners tied to my company. Introduced myself carefully. Gained trust. Offered solutions. And within weeks, I was inside their world again. Not as Daniel, but as the man they needed. Meanwhile, my family was changing. Spending faster than expected. Luxury cars. Renovations. Trips. They weren't grieving. They were upgrading. And Ethan. He was the worst. He stepped into my position like he earned it. Signed deals he didn't understand. Trusted people he shouldn't. He was confident. Too confident. That was my opening. I guided him. From the shadows. Advised him through emails. Helped him make smart decisions. Each one carefully designed. Each one slowly tightening a noose he couldn't see. Claire started questioning things. She always did. She noticed inconsistencies. Missing funds. Strange recommendations. But Laura shut her down. Trust the process. The same process that killed me. Weeks turned into months. And they became dependent on someone they didn't know. Me. But not as a father. As a voice. A guide. A silent controller. They thought they were growing. But they were only moving. Exactly where I wanted them. And the deeper they trusted Adrian Cole, the closer they moved toward a truth that would destroy everything. Power doesn't return all at once. It seeps back in. Quietly. Like water through cracks. By the third month, I controlled more decisions than Ethan did. He just didn't know it. Every deal he approved came through me. Every partnership filtered by me. Every risk designed by me. He started calling Adrian Cole a genius. That almost made me laugh. A son admiring his own father. Without knowing it. Laura trusted him too. She trusted me. Invited Adrian to private meetings. Praised his insights. Relied on his judgment. The same woman who signed my death papers now depended on my mind. That irony was beautiful. Claire, however. She wasn't convinced. She kept asking questions. About timing. About patterns. About how everything suddenly aligned. She felt something was wrong. And she was right. But truth without proof is just suspicion. And I made sure she had none. Then came the first shift. A large investment. High reward. Low visible risk. Too perfect. Ethan hesitated. For a moment. Just a moment. But Laura pushed him. Your father would have taken it. She said that. About me. Using my name to justify greed. So he signed it. Of course he did. Because they believed they were finally free. Free from me. Free from limits. Free from caution. That investment wasn't designed to fail. Not yet. It was designed to bind them. Contracts layered. Conditions hidden. Dependencies created. And once they were locked in, there would be no way out. That was step one. Ownership. Control. Illusion. They thought they were expanding. But they were being absorbed. Slowly. Systematically. Completely. And the most dangerous part. They were grateful. Grateful to the man guiding them. Grateful to Adrian Cole. Grateful to me. The father they buried was now the man they trusted most. And they had no idea. They were walking deeper. Into a trap built from their own betrayal. 6 months after my death. They stopped mentioning me. No photos. No memories. No stories. I was erased. Replaced by comfort. By money. By convenience. That told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't grief. It was relief. Meanwhile, the company grew rapidly. Faster than it ever had under me. Or at least. That's what it looked like. In reality, it was shifting. Ownership structures changed. Silent investors entered. Shell companies formed. All roads led back to one name. Adrian Cole. Every asset they gained was tied to contracts they didn't fully understand. Every expansion came with invisible chains. Claire tried again. She confronted Ethan. This doesn't feel right. He dismissed her. Stop overthinking. Laura backed him. Success always feels risky. No. This wasn't risk. This was design. And they were exactly where I needed them. Then came the second twist. The insurance audit. Unexpected. Aggressive. Precise. They questioned the accident. The timeline. The reports. Someone had tipped them. Someone had created doubt. That someone was me. But not directly. I planted questions through anonymous channels. Enough to shake stability. Not enough to expose everything. Because panic was part of the plan. Laura started losing control. Ethan became defensive. Claire became suspicious. Cracks appeared. Small at first. Then wider. Trust began to fade. And when trust disappears, families don't stand. They collapse. That was the moment things shifted. Not financially. Emotionally. Because revenge isn't just about loss. It's about making them feel exactly what they made you feel. Confused. Alone. Betrayed. And for the first time since my funeral, I saw fear in their eyes. Real fear. Not of losing money. But of losing control. And that fear was only the beginning. Fear changes people. It reveals what they truly are. Laura became paranoid. Checking accounts daily. Calling lawyers constantly. Questioning everyone. Ethan grew aggressive. Blaming others. Avoiding responsibility. Making worse decisions under pressure. Claire. She started digging deeper. She stopped asking. And started investigating. That made her dangerous. Because she wasn't driven by greed. She was driven by truth. And truth was getting closer. The audit intensified. More documents requested. More inconsistencies found. The accident report was questioned again. Details didn't align. Witness statements conflicted. The story they built was starting to crumble. I watched everything. From a distance. From screens. From silence. Then I made my next move. I introduced pressure. Financial pressure. Key investors pulled out. Contracts tightened. Payments delayed. Nothing dramatic. Just enough to suffocate them slowly. Like they suffocated me. Ethan turned to Adrian. To me. Fix this. He begged. I responded calmly. Always calm. Because control isn't loud. It's precise. I gave him solutions. Temporary ones. Each one deeper than the last. Each one binding him further. Meanwhile, Claire found something. A document. An old one. A signature. Mine. But not exactly mine. Altered. Forged. She didn't understand it fully. But she felt it. Something was off. Something big. She tried telling Laura again. This time. Laura listened. For the first time. Doubt entered her mind. Not about the audit. Not about the business. About the past. About the accident. About me. And that was the second turning point. Because once they start questioning the past, they start uncovering truth. And truth is the most dangerous weapon in any revenge. Claire came closest to the truth. Closer than anyone else. She revisited the accident site. Looked at reports. Spoke to locals. And something didn't make sense. No body. No clear identification. Just assumptions. Convenient assumptions. She brought it to Ethan. Again. This isn't right. He snapped. Stop digging. Because deep down. He was afraid. Not of the truth. But of what it would mean. Laura stayed quiet. Too quiet. Her mind was racing. Replaying everything. The call. The timing. The signatures. The speed of it all. Guilt started surfacing. And guilt is impossible to control. That's when I decided to step closer. Not as a father. But as Adrian. I scheduled a private meeting. Face to face. For the first time. They walked in confident. They walked out different. Because I told them something simple. Everything you built is at risk. Not a lie. Just incomplete. They asked questions. I gave answers. Carefully. Strategically. I positioned myself as their only solution. Their only stability. Their only hope. And they accepted it. Completely. They signed more agreements. Gave more control. Trusted deeper. Because fear makes people surrender. And they were terrified. Claire hesitated. But even she followed. Because when everything collapses, you cling to anything that feels solid. Even if it's an illusion. And I was the strongest illusion they had. The father they killed was now the man they depended on. And soon. They wouldn't just lose money. They would lose identity. Because the final stage of my revenge was no longer about taking back control. It was about showing them they never had it. The collapse didn't happen suddenly. It unfolded. Piece by piece. Like a slow realization. Accounts froze. Assets locked. Legal notices arrived daily. Each one more serious than the last. Ethan couldn't understand it. He blamed external factors. Market shifts. Bad luck. But this wasn't luck. This was architecture. Claire stopped arguing. She started observing. Watching patterns. Watching Adrian. Watching me. Laura broke first. Emotionally. Mentally. She couldn't handle uncertainty. She needed control. But control was gone. Completely. Then came the reveal. Partial. Calculated. I sent them documents. Ownership structures. Hidden clauses. Signatures. Every major asset was no longer theirs. Legally. Completely. Irreversibly. Everything traced back to one entity. Adrian Cole. Silence filled the room. Shock. Disbelief. Fear. Ethan called me immediately. Demanding answers. Demanding explanations. I stayed calm. Always calm. Read the contracts. That's all I said. Because everything was there. They signed it. Every step. Every decision. Guided by trust. Manipulated by design. Claire whispered something. Soft. Barely audible. This feels familiar. And she was right. Because they weren't just losing everything. They were experiencing something. Something they created. Something they deserved. The same helplessness. The same confusion. The same betrayal. That I felt when the car went over that cliff. But this wasn't the end. Not yet. Because losing money isn't real revenge. Losing truth is. And they were about to face the final truth. I invited them one last time. A final meeting. No lawyers. No advisors. Just them. And me. They walked in broken. Not powerful. Not confident. Just lost. That was new. That was satisfying. I stood there. No disguise. No distance. No filters. Just me. Alive. Real. Silent. At first, they didn't understand. Their minds rejected it. Impossible. Unreal. Then it hit. Laura collapsed into a chair. Ethan stepped back. Claire. She didn't move. She just stared. Because she already knew. Deep down. You're dead. Ethan whispered. I smiled slightly. So you believed. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Unavoidable. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I didn't need to. Truth speaks quietly. And louder than anything else. I explained everything. The survival. The funeral. The celebration. The plan. The identity. Every step. Every detail. Every moment they thought they were winning. Was me. Laura cried. Real tears this time. Too late. Ethan tried to speak. No words came out. Claire closed her eyes. Not surprised. Just, finished. Then I said the final thing. Everything you have, was mine. Pause. Everything you lost, was yours. That was the third twist. Because this was never about money. It was about reflection. Making them live. Exactly what they did to me. And understand it. Completely. They didn't beg. They didn't fight. Because deep down. They knew. They deserved it. I left them there. Not destroyed. Not broken. Just empty. And that was enough. Because true revenge isn't about ending lives. It's about changing them. Permanently. The company? Gone. Legally mine again. But I didn't keep it. I dissolved it. Walked away. Because it was never about rebuilding. It was about releasing. Laura tried reaching out. Messages. Calls. Silence answered all of them. Ethan disappeared from public life. Claire. She sent one letter. Just one. I understand now. I didn't reply. Because understanding doesn't undo betrayal. Time passed. Quietly. Peacefully. For the first time in years. I felt nothing. No anger. No pain. No attachment. Just clarity. They buried me for money. I brought them back to truth. And truth costs more than anything. Sometimes people ask me, was it worth it? I never answer directly. Because the answer isn't simple. Revenge isn't victory. It's closure. And closure is silent. I didn't destroy my family. They did that themselves. I just showed them how. And in the end, the most powerful revenge isn't what you take from people. It's what you make them realize. That they lost something they can never replace. Not money. Not power. Not time. But truth. And once truth is gone, nothing else matters. Because silence remembers everything.